one, you think the world will end when you leave that baby. The second one, I shed a tear, but I was running out the door going, I get to have lunch. I get to have lunch and talk to some civilized adults.
It's not Peppa Pig.
It's hard.
It is really, it's so hard. One of the things that makes being at home with children really hard these days is actually the death of the neighbourhood, and relationships with your neighbours. Because I find personally, when I'm at home on maternity leave with a baby, you feel incredibly isolated. And I think in years gone by, like my mother often talks about her neighbours and dropping into the neighbours, or if she had to run out and bring one child to the doctor, she could drop the child into a neighbour. At the moment, my reliance is on either paid childcare, which I'm really lucky to have a very good setup, but it's paid childcare, or maybe my husband leaving work, or my mother-in-law who works maybe giving a hand, or all of my sisters, my sister-in-law, they all work, all of their husbands work. It's very difficult to find who can, just be there as a community. When I'm on maternity leave, if you find other friends are on maternity leave at the same time, it's great, and you can have that bit of community, and you can join groups in your area. But you just don't have that same, there's a certain solidarity because you're other women in the same position with small babies, but it's sometimes the groups are a more forced relationship. You're only there because you've all had a baby, not because you necessarily have anything else in common.
To be honest, it's actually quite a bit of a fear of mine. Like I said, I got married this year and will probably be thinking about starting a family soon. And that actually does scare me, the thoughts of being alone. And I think especially this generation where we're having kids later, so when you've already had your 4 years of university and have had a career for 10 years, and to then find yourself at home and not having that social interaction, and from my friend's experience, which all sounds very similar to that, that they can to find it very difficult basically to not have anyone for large parts of the day. It's a fear, it's a worry.
And you go from 100%, you go from your normal functioning, level of functioning, whatever that is before you've had a baby. So, you mightn't be working full time, but whatever you're doing it at 100%. And all of a sudden you go to zero. You just, everything revolves around this little person, which is the way it should be. But it's very difficult to prepare for that. Reality really, really hits you. And, all the things that you were so capable of doing before and that you were so good at and just, came second nature, it's all different, it's really, really, really all different. And you do need a buddy, any kind of a buddy. It doesn't, sometimes other mothers are great, but other mothers are very judgmental as well. And you need a buddy, you need somebody like that you can just call or will drop in and, just chat and just, I don't know if it still exists, a community mother scheme in certain areas of inner city Dublin set up for that reason, just to kind of, mentor mothers. Something like that would be great. Just somebody who's non-judgmental and is able to say to you, look, this is very different. It's going to be hard, but it'll get, you'll get there.
I think there's kind of to be considered too, the kind of mother you want your children to have. Do you want them to have a mother who's forever half frustrated or wholly frustrated and feeling that she's not fully living as herself and that she's not the person she'd aspired to be and that she's missing so much? Or do they want a mother who is herself, who loves her child and the idea of being a mother and being a mother, but also has another function in life and is fulfilling that too? A fulfilled woman as a mother instead of somebody who's feeling a bit resentful, which can creep up on you.
But
surprisingly.
Again, I do think women who've had mothers are kind of expected to automatically love this little thing, and sometimes you don't, and I'm not a bad person because of that. It's just, there's so much change, so much upheaval, so many things happening one on top of the other that sometimes you just don't get a chance to stop for breath. And I'm not giving out, you have a healthy, well baby and you're well, but life just changes radically, and it can be very, very, very hard to adapt.
I have 2 boys, and I think it's going to be really important. I want to work and give them a model of what a woman is, and that women can be successful and ambitious, and that all of that is of equal value, as well as being at home with them. And I think we have to be role models for our boys. We talk a lot about being role models for our girls, but we have to be role models for our boys too.
It's hard for me to say, obviously, being so young, because I can't imagine myself as a parent at all, because I'm still basically a child living at home. But one thing I suppose I was very aware of growing up was I was raised by a single mother. My parents split up when I was 5. Every time I pictured being a mother, like later in life as a teenager, I was picturing myself in her position as a struggling single mother. I was never picturing, you know, a nice house with a partner who'd help me with children and stuff. So I feel like that's kind of opened my eyes a bit, but I'm still, the way Irish society still treats single mothers, because I mean, my mum has friends who were in Magdalene laundries. That, like, the last ones didn't close until I think it was like the late 80s, early 90s. There is still that whole stigma that single mothers are judged really badly by society as a whole. That's just something I've always been very aware of growing up, and it's probably kind of tainted my view of motherhood a lot as a result.
So do you have a fear of parenthood, kind of?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, my mother was like a fantastic mother. She like supported the three of us. We were like we were homeless for a couple of months. Like, she did everything she could, and we're also very lucky because my grandparents and her were so close. So we lived with them for a year, I think it was, when I was quite young. So we had the support. She did everything she could. She like got herself her master's, and she was working like full time as well.
I got married in June, so I'm at peak pressure right now. Every question, every family event is, you know, people are watching to see if I'm drinking or if it's water, and, you know, this kind of thing. Especially in the last few years for me, you have to try and pack so much in. With the financial constraints of the current period that we're in at the moment, with the rental thing and the, you know, trying to sort yourself out and put all your ducks in a row before you can, you kind of need to have everything, and that takes a while. So, you know, you have to get through college, get in a position to buy a house, and then have the wedding, and then straight away it just feels like it's like what's next, and I feel like, you know, I'd really like just a year to chill out now. It's been so hectic, but there's also the danger, because I have friends who don't want kids, and, you know, who are also facing the same questions, and it can be a tricky one too. You need to be careful, because I mean, you don't know what someone's going through. You don't know whether someone's having problems, if they're actually trying.
That's very dodgy.
And, you know,
it's a very sensitive area.
So that can put extra pressure on as well. I just think people need to be careful about what they're assuming.